All right, there we go.
I'll,
Brethren and friends, please welcome into the virtual lodge room the master and installing officers.
For the Master of Ceremonies, are the officers of this lodge lately chosen, present, and ready to be installed in their respective offices?
They are within the virtual lodge, most worshipful sir, and await your pleasure.
Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will read the names and offices of the brethren present to be installed.
Franz Rodriguez, Master. Albert Vidania, Senior Warden. Doug Russell, Junior Warden. Levon Keshishian, Secretary. Nathaniel Stiles, Senior Deacon. Timothy O'Hare, Junior Deacon. Michael Tu, Marshal. Mitchell Reichwein, Senior Steward. Bruce Blitz, Tyler.
In accordance with the teachings of our institution, it is our duty before any great or important undertaking to invoke the aid and blessing of God. Let us, therefore, reverently unite with our chaplain in an address to the throne of grace.
Let's bow our heads, please. Great architect and ruler of the universe, we reverently invoke thy blessing at this time. Grant us thine aid in our present undertaking, that all we may do shall be done with an eye single to thy service and to the good of Freemasonry. May those who are now about to be invested with the government and conduct of this lodge be endued with wisdom to instruct their brethren in their duties, and may they be continually guided by the unerring counsel which thou hast given in the great book of nature and revelation. May brotherly love, relief, and truth always prevail among the members of this lodge. May they be impressed with a comprehension of their duty to thee and to each other, that this lodge may be the means of lasting good in this community, and to thee we shall ascribe all the honor and glory. Amen.
So mote it be.
Mote it be.
Kindly repeat with me the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country.
I pledge allegiance
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Worshipful sir, the officers of this lodge lately chosen are present and ready to be installed in their respective offices.
You will then present the brother who has been appointed Tyler of this lodge.
Worshipful sir, most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother Blitz, who has been appointed Tyler of this lodge.
Brother Blitz, you have been appointed Tyler of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewel and implement of your office. As the sword is placed in the hands of the Tyler to enable him effectually to guard against the approach of cowens and eavesdroppers, and suffer none to pass or repass, except such as are duly qualified, so should it admonish us to set a guard over our thoughts, a watch at our lips, and post a sentinel over our actions, thereby preventing the approach of every unworthy thought and deed, and preserving consciences void of offense toward God and man. You will now repair to your proper place. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will present the senior steward.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother Reichwein, who has been appointed senior steward of this lodge.
Brother Reichwein, You have been appointed senior steward of this lodge, and I will now instruct you in your duties. In olden times, your province was to superintend and provide for the festivals of the craft, to assist in the collection of dues and subscriptions, to keep an account of the expenses for refreshments, and to see that the tables were properly supplied and every brother suitably provided for. In modern times, however, the provision for actual refreshment has diminished, and your principal function will now be to prepare candidates for admission and to perform those duties which Masonic custom has assigned to you on days of procession. Receive the jewel of your office together with the white rod. You will now repair to your respective place. Brother Master of Ceremony, you will present the Marshal.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother 2, who has been appointed Marshal of this lodge.
Brother 2, you have been appointed Marshal of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewel and symbol of your office. The baton is an emblem of command, and is sufficiently significant of your duties. You will, under the direction of the Master, take charge of all processions of the lodge, and you are enjoined that the proper performance of many of our ceremonies will depend upon the manner in which your duties are discharged. You will now take your proper place. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will present the senior and junior deacons.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brothers Stiles and O'Hare, who have been appointed senior and junior deacons of this lodge. This certificate vouches for the proficiency of the senior deacon.
Brothers Stiles and O'Hare, you have been appointed deacons of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewels of your offices. Those jewels indicate that it is your province to attend upon the master and wardens and act as their proxies in the active duties of the lodge. It will be your especial duty, Brother Senior Deacon, to carry orders from the worshipful master in the east to the senior warden in the west and elsewhere about the lodge as required. Attend to all alarms at the door of the preparation room. Receive and conduct candidates. Introduce and accommodate visiting brethren. You, Brother Junior Deacon, to carry messages from the senior warden in the west to the junior in the south and elsewhere about the lodge as directed. Attend to all alarms at the door and see the lodge duly tiled. Those rods, my brothers, distinctive of your office, will now be entrusted to your care. And now, believing from your past deportment in this lodge that your duties will be discharged with ability and zeal, I dismiss you to your respective places. For the Master of Ceremonies, you will present the Secretary-elect.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother Keshishian, who has been elected Secretary of this lodge.
Worshipful Keshishian, you have been elected Secretary of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewel of your office. I am persuaded that in your hands the pens will make an enduring record, not only to your praise, but also to the welfare of this lodge. It is your duty to observe the will and pleasure of the worshipful master. Keep a faithful record of all things proper to be written. Transmit a copy of the same to the Grand Lodge when required. Receive all monies from the brethren. Pay the same to the treasurer and take his receipt therefor. You will now take your proper place. For the Master of Ceremonies, you will present the junior warden-elect.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother Russell, who has been elected junior warden of this lodge. This certificate vouches for his proficiency.
Brother Russell, you have been elected junior warden of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewel of your station. The plum, my brother, admonishes us to walk uprightly in our several stations, to hold the scales of justice in equal poise, to observe the just medium between intemperance and pleasure, and to make our passions and prejudices coincide with the line of our duty. To you is committed the superintendence of the craft during the hours of refreshment. It is necessary, therefore, that you should practice moderation and discretion in the indulgence of your own inclinations, and that you carefully observe that the means of refreshment are not converted to improper or excessive use. Your regular and punctual attendance is particularly requested, and I have no doubt that you will faithfully execute the duty which you owe to your present appointment. Look well to the south. For the Master of Ceremonies, you will present the senior warden-elect.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you for installation Brother Vidania, who has been elected senior warden of this lodge. He is of good morals, true and trusty, and possesses the love and confidence of his brethren. This certificate vouches for his proficiency.
Brother Vidania, you have been elected senior warden of this lodge, and you will now be invested with the jewel of your station. The level, my brother, demonstrates that we are descended from the same stock. We partake of the same nature and share the same hope. And that although distinctions among men are necessary to preserve subordination, yet no eminence of station should make us forget that we are brethren. For he who is placed on the lowest spoke of fortune's wheel may be entitled to our regard. Because the time will come, and the wisest know not how soon, when all distinction, save that of goodness, shall cease, and death, the mighty leveler of human greatness, reduce us to the same state. Your regular attendance on our stated meetings is essential. In the absence of the master, you are to govern the lodge. In his presence, you are to assist him in the government of it. I firmly rely on your knowledge of masonry and attachment to the lodge for the faithful discharge of the duties of this important trust. Look well to the west. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will now present the brother who has been elected to discharge the important duties of master of this lodge.
Most worshipful sir, I take pleasure in presenting to you Brother Rodriguez, who has been duly elected to serve as master of this lodge.
Is it known that Brother Rodriguez is well skilled in our ancient craft? Is he zealous in his regard for the interests of our order? And is he duly qualified to discharge the special duties of the master's chair?
It is well known that he is all this, most worshipful sir. This certificate vouching for his proficiency is evidence that he is well skilled in our ancient craft. I find him to be of good morals, true and trusty, and as he is a lover of the fraternity, I doubt not that he will discharge his duties with fidelity and with honor.
Worshipful sir, the brethren of this lodge, reposing confidence in your integrity, in your zealous regard for the interests of Masonry, and in your ability to discharge the duties of the master's chair, have chosen you to occupy that honorable position during the ensuing year. Are you willing to accept this important trust? Then, my brother, I shall most cheerfully proceed to install you in the dignified and honorable position to which the suffrage of your brethren has called you, not doubting that the dignity of the Oriental chair will be well preserved in your keeping, and that the interest and welfare of this lodge may be safely confided to your charge. Before commencing your investiture, however, it is necessary that you should signify your assent to those ancient charges and regulations which point out the duties of the master of a lodge, and which on no account are ever to be neglected or departed from. They are as follows. You agree to be a good man and true, and strictly to obey the moral law. You agree to be a peaceable citizen and cheerfully conform to the laws of the country in which you reside. You promise not to be concerned in plots and conspiracies against government, but patiently to submit to the decision of the Supreme Legislature. You agree to pay a proper respect to the civil magistrate, to work diligently, live credibly, and act honorably by all men. You agree to hold in veneration the original rulers and patrons of the Order of Masonry, and their regular successors, supreme and subordinate, according to their stations, and to submit to the awards and resolutions of your brethren, when convened, in every case consistent with the constitutions of the order. You agree to avoid private piques and quarrels, and to guard against intemperance and excess. You agree to be cautious in carriage and behavior, courteous to your brethren, and faithful to your lodge. You promise to respect genuine brethren, and to discountenance impostors and all dissenters from the original plan of Masonry. You agree to promote the general good of society, to cultivate the social virtues, and to propagate the knowledge of the art. You promise to pay homage to the Grand Master for the time being, and to his officers when duly installed, and strictly to conform to every edict of Grand Lodge or General Assembly of Masons that is not subversive of the principles and groundwork of Masonry. You admit that it is not in the power of any man or body of men to make innovations in the body of Masonry. You promise a regular attendance on the committees and communications of the Grand Lodge, on receiving proper notice, and to pay attention to all the duties of Masonry on convenient occasions. You admit that no new lodge can be formed without permission of the Grand Lodge, and that no countenance should be given to any irregular lodge or to any person clandestinely initiated therein, being contrary to the ancient charges of the order. You admit that no person can be regularly made a Mason in or admitted a member of any regular lodge without previous notice and due inquiry into his character. You agree that no visitors shall be received into your lodge without due examination and producing proper vouchers of their having been initiated in a regular lodge. These are among the ancient charges and regulations of free and accepted Masons, and to these your assent must be freely given. Do you submit to these charges and promise to support these regulations as masters have done in all ages before you?
I do.
Then, my brother, in consequence of this assurance, and with full confidence in your capacity and zeal, I will now install you Master of Wisdom Lodge number 202. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will invest him with the jewel of his station. The square, my brother, is an emblem of morality, and as it is the especial badge of the Master's office, it should constantly remind you that not only by precept, but by example, you should promote good morals among the brethren, and thus to avert the shadow of any scandal or reproach against the fraternity. Your former life has given evidence that this jewel will not be an unmeaning symbol in your hands, and I solemnly charge you to take good care that its luster be not dimmed through any act of yours. I now present to you the Book of Holy Writings. It is the great light in Masonry and should ever be the great law of the Brotherhood. It will guide you to all truth. It will direct you to eternal happiness. And an attentive regard to the divine precepts it contains will ensure you success in the fulfillment of the duties you are now about to assume. The working tools of our craft will next be presented to you, that as the master workman, you may instruct the craftsmen in the various duties and virtues which they have been selected to illustrate. The square teaches us well to regulate our every action and to let our conduct be governed by the principles of morality and virtue. The compass teaches us to limit our desires in every station and never to suffer our passions or our prejudices to become the masters of our judgment. The rule directs the undeviating discharge of all of our duties, that we should press forward in the straight path of right and truth, without inclining to the one hand or the other, in all our doings, having eternity in view. The plum is an emblem of moral rectitude. It teaches us to avoid all dissimulation and to pursue the honest and upright course in life, which will tend to our elevation in the higher realms of immortality. There are still other important things which you will receive in charge. This book of constitutions you are expected diligently to search, and from time to time cause its contents to be read in your lodge, that none may remain ignorant of the precepts it enjoins, or of the ordinances which it promulgates. This book contains the bylaws of your lodge, which it will be your especial duty to see carefully and punctually executed. And this is the charter, under the authority of which your lodge is held, and which you are carefully to preserve and duly transmit to your successor in the master's chair. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will conduct the master to his station in the east. Worshipful Master, I congratulate you on your ascension to this time-honored seat. The duties incumbent upon you in your exalted station are fraught with grave responsibilities. Remember that the honor, reputation, and usefulness of your lodge will materially depend upon the skill and assiduity with which you manage its concerns, and that the happiness of its members will be generally promoted in proportion to the watchful care with which you cherish the genuine principles of our institution. For a pattern of imitation, consider the great luminary of nature, which, rising in the east, regularly diffuses light and luster to all within its circle. In like manner, it is your province to spread and communicate light and instruction to the brethren of your lodge. Forcibly impress upon them the dignity and high importance of Masonry, and seriously admonish them never to disgrace it. Charge them to practice out of the lodge those duties which they have been taught in it, and by amiable, discreet, and virtuous conduct to convince mankind of the goodness of this institution, so that when a person is said to be a member of it, the world may know that he is one to whom the burdened heart may pour out its sorrows, one to whom distress may prefer its suit, one whose hand is guided by justice, and whose heart is expanded by benevolence. In short, by a diligent observance of the bylaws of your lodge, the constitutions of Masonry, and above all, the Holy Scriptures, which are given as the rule and guide of your faith, you will be enabled to acquit yourself with the highest honors here and lay up a crown of rejoicing, which will continue when time shall be no more. Brothers, Senior and Junior Warden, you are too well acquainted with the principles of Masonry to warrant any distrust that you will be found wanting in the discharge of your respective duties. Suffice it to say that what you have seen praiseworthy in others, you should carefully imitate, and what in them may have appeared defective, you should yourselves avoid. You should be examples of discretion and propriety, for it is only by a due regard for our laws and regulations, as shown in your conduct, that you can expect obedience to them from others. You are assiduously to assist the master in the discharge of his trust, diffusing light and imparting knowledge to all whom he shall place under your care. In absence of the master, you will succeed to higher duties. Your acquirements must therefore be such as will ensure proper instruction to the craft. From the spirit which you have hitherto evinced, I entertain no doubt that your future conduct will be such as will merit the applause of your brethren and the testimony of a good conscience. Brethren of Wisdom Lodge number 202, please rise. My brethren, such is the nature of our Constitution, that as some must of necessity rule and teach, of course, so must others learn to submit and obey. Humility in both is an essential duty. The officers who have been chosen to govern your lodge are sufficiently conversant with the rules of propriety and the laws of the institution to avoid exceeding the power with which they are entrusted. And you are of too generous disposition to envy their preferment. I therefore trust that you will have but one aim, to please one another and unite in the grand design of promoting happiness. Finally, my brethren, as this association has been formed and perfected in so much unanimity and concord, so may it long continue. May you long enjoy every satisfaction and delight which friendship can afford. May kindness and brotherly affection distinguish your conduct as men and as Masons. Within your peaceful walls, may your children's children celebrate with joy and gratitude the annual recurrence of this auspicious solemnity. And may the tenets of our profession be transmitted through this lodge, pure and unimpaired, from generation to generation. Worshipful Master, it now remains for me to present to you the gavel, the emblem of power. In the hands of the Master, it may be made the instrument of great good or of greater evil. With it, the Master governs his lodge, and the welfare and prosperity of your lodge, in a great measure, depend upon its judicious use. In your hands, I am confident that it will be wielded for the best interests of your brethren. Brother Master of Ceremonies, you will now make proclamation.
By order of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of the State of California, I now proclaim the officers of Wisdom Lodge number 202 to be duly installed.
All the brethren will, under the direction of the Master of Ceremonies, salute the Worshipful Master by the battery of 3 times 3.
Together, brethren.
Worshipful Master, behold your brethren. Brethren, behold your Master.
Thank you, Most Worshipful. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, brethren. I would like to begin by thanking our installing team. Worshipful Haponazarian Chaplain, who also is a past master of Wisdom Lodge 202. Sean, can you put people on the screen as they're mentioned? The Grand Standard Bearer, Worshipful Paul Basarkanian, who is this evening's Master of Ceremonies. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, sir.
And the Most Worshipful Grand Master of Masons in California, Most Worshipful Arthur Weiss, Installing Officer. Thank you, Most Worshipful. I've got a very brief few words before we continue with introductions. Every lodge opening, every lodge closing, and every degree reaffirms our commitment to morality and our commitment to each other. When a Mason extends a hand to a fallen brother, it is to raise him, not to slay him. This past year has been more challenging than any I have ever faced, with a pandemic that looms over all of us and elected representatives who seem more inclined to besmirch each other than pursue policies for the common good. But we are Masons and we honor our vows. When we are past this medical crisis, our ritual work may need a little polishing, but we will still be here and we will continue to pursue values that make good men better men. I thank the brothers of the lodge for their continued faith in me and allowing me to return and continue in service to the lodge. All of you are making history tonight, as this will be our one and only online installation of officers, I hope. Now I get great pleasure in introducing to you, and again, Sean, if you could bring up each person as named, the men who have kept Wisdom Lodge what it is, the past masters of Wisdom Lodge. We have a number of them in attendance tonight. Levon Kushishian, who currently serves as our secretary. And if I recall, Levon, you've been master of this lodge twice. Thank you for your service. Nathaniel Stiles, another two-timer. Nathaniel, would you wave to us, let us know you're present? And thank you for your service to Wisdom Lodge. Past Master Hampo Nazarian. Hampo, thank you. Past Master Gerard Shirikian, another two-timer. Brother Shirikian, thank you. William Pritchard, who I believe is joining us from a hospital bed. Bless your heart, Bill. Thank you for joining us.
I'm at home.
David Patterson, yet another two-timer. David, who has given so much to the fraternity. Thank you, David, for joining us this evening. Mark Flint, past Grand Standard Bearer, as well as being a past master of Wisdom Lodge. And as many of you know, Worshipful Flint is the one who gave us the name Wisdom Lodge. And everybody's favorite, past Grand Master and past Master of Wisdom Lodge, the most worshipful Stuart Wright. Stu, thank you, and Julie for joining us yet again. Now, I would like to ask the masters and masters-elect of other lodges to wave. I don't know all of you, but if you'll wave at us, we'll know you're here, which, by the way, is how I was instructed to conduct this. Give them a second to wave. And now I request all the Hiram Award recipients to wave. If you're a Hiram Award recipient, would you kindly wave? I ask the presiding officers of affiliate and concordant bodies to wave. Those of you who are in attendance. I invite Grand Lodge committee men to wave. But any members of Grand Lodge committees, I can see you there. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this evening. Now I have great pleasure in introducing the Grand Standard Bearer, who also is our district inspector, Worshipful Paul Bazarkinian. Paul?
Thank you, Worshipful. For a minute there, I was thinking, I'm so glad I'm not a past master of your lodge, because you would have referred to me as a two-timer. But anyway, I want to congratulate you and the officers of the Wisdom Lodge, and I wish you an exciting and successful year. And at this point, it's my great pleasure to introduce from Burbank, a past master of Burbank Lodge number 406, Assistant Grand Lecturer of Division 7, the Worshipful Alvin Moen, who will introduce the Grand Lodge officers.
Thank you, Paul. As we go into the final number of introductions, since we don't have the introduction sign-in sheets, a couple of the other normal introductions would be Golden Veterans and Diamond Jubilee veterans. So if there are any 50-year Golden Veterans members, would you kindly wave for the audience? Brother Sean, maybe you can reduce me to the gallery view. It's a little frightening to be looking at yourself and that large picture. Ooh, that's even worse. You got Paul up there now in front of me.
Yeah.
Brother Sean, maybe you can reduce me to the gallery view. It's a little frightening to be looking at yourself and that large picture. Ooh, that's even worse. You got Paul up there now in front of me.
Yeah.
Are there any Grandmasters Youth Support Awards members, or recipients? If they are, please wave. Any past elected Grand Lodge officers? I didn't see any. It is my distinct pleasure to be able to introduce one past Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of California, who I had the honor of being his stunt double during his term. It's my pleasure to introduce the Most Worshipful Stuart A. Wright and his wife, Julie. Thank you, Most Worshipful, for being here. I'm now going to introduce good to see you. I'm now going to introduce the present Grand Lodge officers, and I'll ask everyone to hold their applause until I have them all introduced, and then we'll greet them all at one time. From Elk Grove, a past master of Elk Grove Lodge number 173, the Assistant Grand Tyler, the Worshipful Scotty J. Christian. From Oxnard, a past master of Anacapa Lodge number 710, the Grand Tyler, the Worshipful Vince O. Tolentino. From Elk Grove, a past master of Elk Grove Lodge number 173, the Junior Grand Steward, the Worshipful Thomas L. Pryor, Jr. From Riverside, a past master of Temescal Palms Lodge number 314, the Senior Grand Steward, the Worshipful Michael A. Padilla and his wife Kelly. From Temecula, a past master of Novus Veteris Lodge number 864, the Senior Grand Deacon, the Worshipful Mark A. Nielsen. From Glendora, a past master of San Marino Lodge number 408, the Grand Standard Bearer, the Worshipful Paul B. Bazarkanian. From Vista, a past master of Ermine Valley Lodge number 671, the Grand Marshal, the Worshipful Mark E. Pressey and his wife Beth. From Poway, a past master of San Diego Lodge number 35, the Grand Order, the Worshipful Michael D. Thibodeau. From La Mesa, a past master of San Diego Lodge number 35, the Assistant Grand Lecturer of Division 9, the Worshipful John H. Crago III. From Paris, a past master of Evergreen Lodge number 259, the Assistant Grand Lecturer of Division 8, the Worshipful Victor M. Ropak, Jr. I am from Burbank, and I serve as Assistant Grand Lecturer of Division 7, and it's my pleasure to introduce my wife, Lori. From Eureka, a past master of Six Rivers Lodge number 106, the Assistant Grand Lecturer of Division 1, the Worshipful Gary R. Quintrell. From Valley Springs, a past master of Riverside Lodge number 635, the Grand Lecturer, the Very Worshipful Ricky L. Lawler. From Escondido, a past master of San Diego Lodge number 35, the Senior Grand Warden, the Right Worshipful Randy L. Brill. From Sonoma, a past master of Mosaic Lodge number 218, the Deputy Grand Master, the Right Worshipful Jeffrey M. Wilkins, and his wife Liz. Our Grand Master comes from Newberry Park, a past master of Caneo Valley Lodge number 807, and it's my honor to introduce his wife, Barbara. Let's greet the Grand Lodge officers and their wives. And I introduced, I hope everybody that had previously said they were going to be here. And if I've missed anybody, I apologize. I'll make it up to you when we're in person. It's now my pleasure to be able to present the Grand Master and read his bio for you. Most Worshipful Arthur H. Weiss was raised a Master Mason in Caneo Valley Lodge number 807 in Thousand Oaks on January 28, 1986. And Brother Sean, maybe you could put the Grand Master up there in full screen. Not me, the Grand Master. There you are. He served as Master of the Lodge in 1991 and in 2003, and was presented the Hiram Award in 1997 for his distinguished service to the Lodge. Worshipful Brother Wise served the Grand Lodge as an inspector, as Grand Marshal, and as Grand Chaplain. He has served in all 5 constitutional boards, including 12 years on the California Masonic Foundation. In addition, Worshipful Brother Wise is active in other Masonic bodies, including Los Angeles York Rite bodies, Allied Masonic Degrees, Knight Masons, the Red Cross of Constantine, and the Rosicrucians. He is a 32nd degree KCCH in the Los Angeles Scottish Rite. He is a member of the Order of Eastern Star and served as worthy Grand Patron of the Grand Chapter of California. Worshipful Brother Weiss received a Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Engineering in 1973 from Purdue University. He enjoyed a 42-year career in aerospace and defense at Rocketdyne. He was executive director of the Missile Defense and Advanced Programs prior to his retirement in 2015. He continued to consult and started an executive consulting firm. Art and his wife Barbara live in Newbury Park and have one married daughter. Brethren, ladies and guests, it is my honor to present the 155th Grand Master of Masons in the state of California, the Most Worshipful Arthur H. Weiss.
Al, will you unmute the Grand
It
Master?
would be helpful if I unmuted myself. That always works. Anyway, thank you, Al. Worshipful Rodriguez, our past Grand Master, members of Wisdom Lodge, distinguished members and guests. It has been an honor to install the officers of Wisdom Lodge into their respective offices this evening. Congratulations to each one of you. I wish you an outstanding year and nothing but success as you keep Masonry moving forward in Pasadena. Worshipful Franz, it was certainly a pleasure to install you as Master this evening. Under your continued leadership, I anticipate Wisdom Lodge will expand its leadership role in Southern California. Most worshipful Stu, it is a pleasure to see you and Julie with us this evening as you participate from your new home. It certainly was an honor to serve under you in 2019. I appreciated your leadership in raising the bar to help our brethren understand that the uniqueness of our fraternity, the impact we make in society, is up to each of us individually. The initiatives you began during your year have continued to grow and are beginning to bear fruit as your impact continues to be felt. Thank you for joining us this evening. Worshipful Kashishian, it was a real treat to be able to install you this evening. We had the wonderful opportunity to work together last year under Most Worshipful Troner when you served as Grand Standard Bearer. As the longtime secretary of this lodge, I look forward to your continuing support in the future. And brethren of Wisdom Lodge, I truly regret not being with you personally this evening in your beautiful lodge building. Every event I have ever attended over the years has been extra special because of the ambiance of your temple. Brethren, we continue to live in unprecedented times, as our master just mentioned. The current virus surge has caused our state to move, unfortunately, backwards in its progress, and we now have stricter rules than those established when this whole pandemic began. I do watch this situation each week, and I am currently working to determine when I will be able to lift my directive prohibiting all in-person meetings. I do know that that day, when we can again meet in person, will be one of the happiest days of the year. Thankfully, there is positive news on the vaccine front that will move us closer to that happy day. Hopefully, distribution will be rapid, and we can all be vaccinated by spring. And I, for one, am ready. If the vice president can take it, so can I. But for now, let us be grateful that we have the technology that allows us to continue our traditions of transferring leadership to a new corps of officers at the beginning of a new Masonic year. So given the present situation, what can we accomplish as we do wait to reopen? Brethren of Wisdom Lodge, I want to talk specifically to you this evening. I believe we have a tremendous opportunity to press forward and accomplish much in spite of the current situation. The changes we have experienced this past year have given us a rare and incredibly useful perspective on everything we do. It is now leadership's responsibility to take what we have learned and apply it as we lay out a plan for masonry in California for the next several decades. Your lodge has worked diligently to support masonry in Pasadena and Southern California. You are an historic and well-established leadership lodge. You have stepped up and answered the challenge of adopting a culture of philanthropy. You were an original pacesetter lodge at the start of the Let's Write the Future campaign. Your support of public schools has been commendable, as witnessed by the public schools art contest and awards event you just recently hosted. As we address the challenges of today, I ask you to draw upon that strong heritage and commitment. You are in a unique position to further lead masonry in Southern California into a new era of influence and impact in our communities. I do have several priorities this year. All of them, however, are for the purpose of advancing our new vision, the world in harmony. Our effort to help the world achieve harmony through Masonic principles by 2050, our bicentennial year. Our 2025 fraternity plan outlines the actions we will take over the next 5 years to advance that vision. In 2 areas, I do need the help and focus of our lodges to be successful. The first is the full implementation of the 2025 plan. We've begun to roll out the plan in conjunction with the latest issue of Freemason magazine, titled Designing the Future. This expanded issue examines many aspects of the evolution of our fraternity that we hope to achieve over the next 30 years. I hope you all have had a chance to read it. For the true success of our vision, we must achieve 3 goals over the next 5 years. These goals are referred to as the 3 pillars: true friendship, diversity and harmony, and positive awareness. We want these 3 pillars to become true and universal at the lodge level, for the communities in which our lodges reside, and for the state as a whole. True friendship is the fundamental attribute that brings Masons together in brotherhood, even when we have never met. It is a unique characteristic of the fraternity. It's hard for us to define in words, yet we must find ways to show the world what it is and what it can mean as we begin to shape the world in harmony. We must reevaluate our approach to diversity and whether we are doing enough to set a standard that society will want to embrace. Are we truly practicing the values we espouse? Are we doing enough to bring people of different cultures and traditions together? There is much within the world of Freemasonry that we can do to bring together diverse groups who share our values and our worldview. Our doing so can serve as a model for our communities as they too endeavor to work to embrace harmony. We must also increase the positive awareness of Masonry in our society. We can set standards of true friendship, provide personal growth for those from all walks of life, and commit ourselves to philanthropy and community service, as this lodge has done. But if the public is unaware of our efforts, then they will never see our good works as an example worthy of emulation. Creating positive awareness of our contributions will require us to take a whole new approach to spreading the word throughout society of the benefits of Freemasonry. While we at the Grand Lodge level can work out the details of this new approach, it will take a coordinated effort of all the lodges in California to produce the meaningful impact necessary to allow us to influence the state as a whole towards harmony. I see Wisdom Lodge playing an important role in this thrust. The second area in which the help of our lodges is essential is my desire to see us increase Masonic family unity. To set the best possible example of diversity and harmony in the world, we must first integrate all aspects of our Masonic family and reach across existing divides to other Masonic groups that share our principles and our dedication. Improved communication between the Masonic family bodies and closer relations with independent, coexisting Masonic groups will demonstrate to the outside world more clearly, with actions and not just words, our benefit to society. The division-wide, all-Masonic body events that I've planned in the coming year will give us this opportunity and to further the goal and show ourselves that our similarities are infinitely greater than our differences. And so today, this evening, I challenge you, the officers and brethren of Wisdom Lodge, to define what part you will play in making our plan a reality and in promoting Masonic family unity in your area. Revise your strategic plan and align it to the fraternity's 2025 plan. Consider how you can bring the bonds of true friendship to an even deeper level with your members, so that other men of good character will want to join you. Find ways to extend the benefits of Masonry to everyone and expand your inclusive, harmonious environment. Raise the bar of your lodge's community engagement and philanthropy to grow the positive awareness of your lodge and of Freemasonry in your community. Reach out to all the Masonic bodies that meet in your building and in your area and discuss how you can come together to advance the principles of Freemasonry. Now, at the start of this new fraternal year, explore the possibilities of what each of you individually and all of you collectively can do to advance in these areas and carry your lodge further and higher than you ever previously imagined. Bravely embrace the next evolution of our fraternity, and you will find that fortune will favor the brave. Have a wonderful holiday season. Please stay healthy, and thank you.
Most worshipful, your friendship, your leadership, your inspiring words are all very, very much appreciated. Now, I understand a box has mysteriously appeared at your residence. And in that box, if you have it nearby, is an envelope. And it's our thank you. In your name, it's a donation to the Masonic Charities. Now, additionally, as I shared earlier this evening, the kids in that school that you so much helped in our art contest were very, very much appreciated. And as such, I'm going to turn to our brother Secretary Kashishian to tell you what's in behind door number 2, as they used to say on television. Worshipful.
Most worshipful, when you open the box, you pick up the envelope. Beneath the envelope, there's a trophy. If you can lift it up, please.
Okay. Let me get the ribbon off here. I do find the envelope. Thank you very much, and I will make a comment about that in a moment.
If you look
Oh,
further,
wow. Wow. See if we can get this into the picture here, if my camera will cooperate.
well,
There we go.
as you can read on the plaque of that trophy, it says our lodge members and the young artists enjoyed your participation. We wanted to give you a memento, the same thing that we gave the students, but in gold, of course, for you. We wanted you to keep this up there in your house to remember the excitement and the joy that you gave the young artists. Thank you very much, Most Worshipful, for your attendance.
Well, thank you, Worshipful, and all the Brethren of Wisdom. This is truly phenomenal. I really enjoyed that particular event. I had a great time judging the artwork. You know, 3rd through 5th grade, they did a phenomenal job in expressing themselves and how they felt about this current pandemic situation. And it was amazing how they were able to combine their feelings into their artwork. And there were some very exceptional pieces for youngsters, you know, that young. And I really was impressed that you had gone out to the extent to provide this caliber of award. So I really appreciate having one of my own, I really do. And the check, of course, really appreciate. And as you know, has become our practice that all contributions or donations to the Grand Master will immediately go to the California Masonic Foundation to support both our childhood literacy thrust with raising a reader, and of course, a portion to the Masonic Homes of California as we continue to support our senior members. So thank you so much, Worshipful and the Brethren of Wisdom Lodge. Thank you.
Ho, 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 ho.
But
Ho, 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 ho.
Oh, there's Santa.
Ho, 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 ho. Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Can you bring Santa up?
Oh, ho, ho.
that's not your master, right?
No.
Okay.
Santa, do you have something to say?
Ho, ho. The host has muted me.
We can.
Oh.
Somebody unmute this.
Has the
Oh
host
my gosh, it's Santa Claus.
Has the host unmuted Santa?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Very good. Ho, 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 ho. Finishing up a little work here. Most Worshipful Weiss and Lady Barbara, I send you holiday cheer from the new officers, the old officers, and all the Brethren of Wisdom Lodge, wishing you a healthy year, full of joy, as we look to the world in harmony.
Thank you, Santa. I was afraid I was going to have to wait till Christmas Eve to see you. But I'm glad you're getting around, even with the pandemic. So thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it.
I told Santa left you a box of chocolates. I hope you got them.
Academia nuts with.
There is another box here. There's another box.
There better be another box or Blitzen's in big trouble.
Oh yeah, that's a candy box.
Oh, good. That
It is
Blitzen-
huge. This is not just a pound of chocolate. This feels like about 5 pounds of chocolate.
Well, then, I have complete confidence Blitzen has delivered it all.
Yeah. Well, clearly you did a good job, and it's a beautiful box too. Oh my God, yes. It's about 5 pounds of chocolate of various kinds. Yeah, oh my gosh. Including, if I can get my camera to work, doggone it. Anyway, there's the box, and it's got all kinds of stuff in it, including truffles and peppermints and individual boxes of chocolates. And wow, so much for my diet.
President's party at the Grand Master's house. I'll wager most of you didn't know, although you shouldn't be surprised that Santa Claus is a Mason. Thank you, Santa.
Thank you to all the good brethren.
Are there any other presentations?
Worshipful Master, I have a presentation on behalf of the brothers. I want to present to you this envelope as a token of appreciation for your year as Master. This is your 5th year. You just finished your 5th year.
No.
Fourth time.
Yes.
You're going into 5th.
Yes.
And it takes a lot for a man to take the leadership of a lodge, especially during difficult times like this, especially this year. You lifted the lodge up. You immediately took care of business using Zoom. And every Wednesday, you turned it into a fun time to get together. Instead of being a regular Zoom session, you made it appealing, subject with a proper agenda, with the contest in the beginning, discussions, and then Masonic education at the end. Thank you very much. I thank you on behalf of all the Brothers of Wisdom Lodge for your service. I look forward to working with you again next year. And one more item that I have left in your office at that time, which was on your desk, is the certificate of your past mastership signed by the Grand Secretary.
That is gorgeous. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Worshipful Master.
I'll hang proudly in my office. Thank you.
And Worshipful Master,
Yes.
I have one for you that will be shipped to you directly from the Grand Lodge office. So I hope you enjoy it when you receive it. It is a package that contains a number of mementos from my year, and I hope you enjoy it when you get it.
Bless your heart. I so appreciate that. And may I proudly display them at the temple?
I certainly hope so, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you. What a pleasant surprise. Thank you so much. Are there any other presentations?
Santa has one more thing he'd like to bring up.
Who? Santa?
Santa.
Go for it, Santa.
I was visiting recently with the fine young ladies at Citrus Assembly, and they send to you an intrinsic gift, thanking you for your year as master, and especially of your support of their activities during the pandemic. It was so fortunate that under your leadership and with the express consent of the brethren that you continued to support Citrus. And the good news they have to bring you on this installation night is they will have 3 new members in this coming year.
Nice.
And that is an amazing feat during these times. And they especially want to thank you and the brethren for your support while we were quarantined. Thank you, Worshipful.
Thank you. Thank you, Santa, for bringing that subject up, because I forgot and I was going to hear it from the Worshipful Master.
Oh, yeah.
Most Worshipful and brothers and everybody, just for you to know, in honor of Worshipful Rodriguez, the Lodge has donated some funds to the 3 Masonic youth orders, to the Conejo Valley Order of Demolay, to the Bethel number 73 in Burbank, and to Citrus Assembly Rainbow Girls, in honor of our Master. Each one of them had received $150 as a token of our appreciation during the holidays.
Wow. Thank you, Worshipful, both Worshipfuls, brethren. On behalf of Conejo Valley Demolay, I know they're going to be excited to receive that donation. So thank you so much for that on their behalf.
Bless your heart, most worshipful. Are there any other presentations? Then, brethren, from the bottom of my heart, I could not be more proud to be affiliated with a more wonderful group of people, men and women alike. As every Master Mason knows, without the support of the women in our lives, we would be much less an institution. Living proof, the Grand Master's wife sitting next to him and our past Grand Master's wife sitting next to him. God bless you, ladies. God bless you one and all. Thank you for joining us. Now I'm going to ask you to remain in your seats while the officers line in procession to go in. Oh, Al, too. I forgot you, Al. And forgive my piece of levity. Clearly, I was reading from last year's script. There will be no procession into the dining hall, nor will we be feeding you tonight. But we are much appreciative of everything you all did. Al, why don't you formally introduce your wife again? She popped in just for a moment.
I did that originally. My wife, Lori. She's
got
there.
her.
She's been here. Yeah.
Al, the question is, did you get the cookies?
She hadn't made the cookies yet. The banana bread, I'm still working on the banana bread.
Okay.
Thank you all, and have a safe and
Thank you, Sean.
Pardon?
I'm saying thank you to Worshipful Sean Yu for stepping in last minute and taking care of the Zoom session.
Well, had you given me a 30 seconds, I would have done that. But thank you, Brother Kachisian. And thank you, Sean. You were a big help. You did step in and make this come together very nicely. Good night, brethren. Thank you, one and all. God bless.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.